Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another card video at my YouTube channel and blog. Today I'm going to be creating some really simple back to basics cards for you guys. I remember years and years ago when I first started creating cards, it was all just about the paper and ink. Nothing really fancy, no fancy tools or supplies or anything like that. It was just a block with a stamp and some paper. So that's the kind of card I'm going to be creating today. In fact, I'm creating two cards. Both of them feature stamps from one stamp set from Pinkfresh Studio. I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into it. Here is the stamp set I'm going to be using from Pinkfresh Studio. This is Playful Animal Friends 1, and there are so many images in this stamp set that you can combine to make your own scenes and clusters of these different images. So I'm going to be using some Distress Oxide inks, but before I get to that, I'm going to prepare my card bases. I'm going to be making two cards today, and they're both made out of some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock. This is the 110-pound weight, and I scored those at 5.5 to create top folding cards. And because it's really hard to see where the fold is, I just put a little bit of blue painter's tape right on the back of the card, right at the fold. I was able to see the fold while I was working, but for filming purposes, I know it's super hard to see that fold, so I thought I would put that blue line there just so you can envision where that line is. So I've got these two little elephant stamps here. I'm just getting some spacing just right. And then I'm going to put one of the stamps on this acrylic block, and I'm using some Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink. So when you're doing stamping like this where it's very simple and it's just the paper and ink, you really want to think about your craftsmanship and making sure you get really good stamped images, because any sort of smearing or smudging or not even stamping will really show, because there isn't anything else to look at on the card. So that's why I like to kind of place the images onto the card, get an idea of where I want them, and then build the scene out from there. So my plan for this first card was I wanted the two elephants, and then I wanted these three little banner stamps from the stamp set to be looking like they're behind or coming out of the smaller elephant. So I used some Abandoned Coral Distress Oxide ink, and now I'm using Crushed Olive. And for the third banner, I'm going to use Faded Jeans, and I'm going to have the stamp hang off the end of the ink pad so that the very bottom of that banner flag doesn't get inked up. And that way I can have it go below the green flag and have it nestled in there. And having all of those positioned just right leaves this blank spot right above the bigger elephant, just a blank empty spot that was just begging for a greeting. So these elements all kind of nestled in on each other and really complemented each other. So now I'm going to take the star stamp. There's a large star stamp, or kind of a medium size, that's in the stamp set. And I stamped that in Abandoned Coral and Crushed Olive. And then there's this cluster of smaller stamps, and I wanted a solid stamp only. So I performed some stamp surgery and cut those apart so that I have a little itty bitty stamp to work with. So then I stamped all the different colors except for the gray in that really small star stamp. And I did speed up the video here because I spent a lot of time opening and closing ink pads and moving from color to color. But basically I'm building kind of a vertical, slightly diagonal path for these stars. So it creates some motion going from the bottom left corner of the card, moving all the way up to the top right. I just wanted this cluster, the scattering of stars going from top to bottom. So that's that first card. I'm going to remove the blue painter's tape, and then I'll have my completely finished card. This actually worked up really quickly. It's not a very complex card. It would be easy to make multiples of the same card design. Speaking of, I'm going to make another card using kind of the same idea of design, and this time I'm going to be using some different images for the main focal points. So I have this owl or bird image. I'm going to stamp that in the same gray ink, which is Hickory Smoke, and I'll make sure I have a nice impression with that. And then I'm going to bring in Seedless Preserves. This is kind of a reddish violet shade, and I only inked up the top portion of that stamp. I didn't want the balloon quite so tall, so I only inked up the top portion. And then for a birthday hat, I'm putting on top of this owl. I did that in abandoned coral. And then I stamped this butterfly in crushed olive off to the side. I'm now going to add the greeting, and this one's going to say happy birthday. And because the happy and birthday are separate stamps, this gives me the opportunity to stamp them in different colors. So I'm going to stamp the word happy in hickory smoke, and then I'm going to bring in the word birthday in seedless preserves. So it's the birthday is going to go right over top of that gray, and because that seedless preserves is a little bit more of an intense color, it can go right over top of that happy. So there's another little cluster of images here that are triangles, and I just wanted one little triangle so I could put a pattern on the balloon. So I cut that away from the rest of the cluster of images and then stamped little triangles in seedless preserves on that balloon. I used that same little triangle stamp to stamp a little green area inside that bow tie on the owl. And then I brought in those same star stamps that I used on the previous card, and I continued stamping. So you may have noticed I used the exact same colors on this second card, with the exception that I did not use faded jeans, and instead I used seedless preserves. So this is a great way to kind of use a similar or almost the same color palette, but just swap out one color, and it really gets all of your stamping going. I did the same idea where I have kind of a vertical path of those star clusters going all the way up. So those are the cards for today. I really love this color palette and how playful it is with these images and the clusters of stars. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed those two cards. I think they're so fun and clean and simple and a great way to get back to basics. On screen right now, I've got two more cards for you to check out that are really minimalistic and don't have a whole lot of tools that are needed. I hope you guys enjoy those suggestions. Before you go, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I will be back very soon with another card. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon.